Welcome to the first day of the Romanian Grand Prix here in Constanța. We're about to head out onto Lake Șutgău for what is going to be a pretty hotly contested pole position qualifying session. The water looks like it's going to be nice and flat. We don't have the usual issues that come with tides, swells, waves. It is going to mean that I have got no idea who is going to take pole position. So make sure you stay tuned because this is going to be a race of unknowns. Welcome to Constanța for the Romanian Grand Prix, the midpoint of the 2023 UIM XCAT World Championship. In front of me is the Black Sea and behind me is Lake Șutgău, the venue for this weekend's racing.
My first time. This is a beautiful place, beautiful sea view and beautiful lake.
This is the first time we've been in Constanța and yeah, quite impressed. It's a nice area. This is the first time of me actually racing on a lake. So normally salt water, so set up the boat a little bit different. It was we got out yesterday for a little bit of free practice because we had repairs to the engine to do. But no, we've done a little bit more today. We're happy with the way that it's set up.
It's beautiful because the lake is nice. It's pretty flat. It's a high-speed course. It will be a bit tough for everybody because they'll all be going flat out. So it's going to be a good race, hopefully, inshallah, tomorrow.
Welcome back everybody to the UIM XCAT World Championship and the Grand Prix of Romania in beautiful Constanța. The Constanța Municipal Sport Club, with the authorization of the Romanian Yachting Federation, under the aegis of UIM, we're in beautiful Mamaia, Constanța in Romania for the first pole position session for race 1. And Stu has made his way down from the roof.
Yeah. So excited about this that the container couldn't contain me. I had to find myself on the roof. But hello, John. Thank you very much for coming back. We've had about 4 weeks off, and we have reached the midpoint of the 2023 UIM XCAT World Championship, and we are here for the Romanian Grand Prix. We are in the beautiful coastal city of Constanța, which we've been lucky enough to spend a few days in, and believe me, we will have more than enough time on this transmission to talk you through, all of you at home, what this incredible part of the world has to offer. But before then, we have a little matter of some powerboat qualifying. The XCATs are about to hit the water, and we've got some changes to bring you. So sit back, relax. This entire session is going to total around about 1 hour and 30 minutes of your time this morning. So you are in for a really strong stint, and yeah, between you and I, John, we're going to bring you some interesting qualifying, aren't we?
Yeah, you're quite right, Stu. Whilst everyone is getting ready to head out to the water, the pole position sessions for this round is quite different to the one in Basilicata and Fiumicino. So there will be 2 consecutive sessions. In the first session, about an hour's duration, there will be no lap limitation. Drivers and teams will be allowed to do 1 propeller change, and at the end of session 1, the last 4 boats will start in order at the last gate. So in essence, it defines the people that come last. After that, we'll have a 10-minute break, and then the first 4 qualified boats will take part in session 2. Now, session 2 it'll be about 20 minutes. Again, no lap limitation, but no propeller changes. And to be entitled to get a timed lap in, the racing boat must start its timed lap within 10 minutes from the green flag. And that will basically define the first gate, the first 4.
The way you use the word basically, because as its premise, it's pretty simple, but the reality is, well, it is. You know, it's more of a timing thing, really. So yes, as John accurately says, we are using qualifying format 2 across this weekend for the Romanian Grand Prix. So think of it as a Q1 and Q2 session. So yeah, everyone's got 60 minutes to go out there. Unlimited laps. You can have as many goes as you like in theory, and the wheat and the chaff will be separated after that 60 minutes. You know, I'm just pulling expressions out from bygone eras there. But the pack will be split, and then away they go. Now, the interesting thing compared to, as you rightly say, when we were in Italy for the double header around about 4 weeks ago in Fiumicino and Basilicata, is that there is a lot more that the teams can do to optimise their performance. It's not a great deal more. There are still really tight legislative things that can be done, and the propeller change is a huge difference, to be honest with you, and so that's going to be quite an interesting differentiator, and we shall see what happens with that, and we'll go through that in some more detail throughout the session, and see where we go from there.
I guess you might say, you know, in Fiumicino and Basilicata, they could only do 2 time laps within a 30-minute span, so it might seem a little bit more stressful. But even this kind of format creates its own difficulties. And yeah, the propeller changes, as you say, you know, propellers are basically like tires, aren't they, Stu? So depending on the conditions, you have to play it quite tactically.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you don't see propellers. They're under the water, and so sometimes it can be a part of the competition that is easily forgotten. Really, the way that the rake of the propellers, the number of blades on the propellers, it makes a huge difference to the performance of the boats. Particularly here, where during free practice and official practice yesterday, it was tenths of a second that made the difference, you know, and of course there are physical properties to that, you know, how quickly the drivers turn into corners, and you know, how the throttleman and the driver will, how they communicate, but there's also those kind of real engineering differences as well that come from the propellers and the Mercury ROS engines as well, that we'll talk about, and then, you know, even things like weight of the boat when it comes to where the ballast is. There are changes on that for this second qualifying format, in terms of where you can put the weight and where you can distribute the weight within the boats as well. So all things that we'll undoubtedly talk about as we go through the session, and a really interesting change to the qualifying format after the first 2 rounds, and as we've hit the midpoint of this championship, it could, and I'm fairly hopeful that it will change, or certainly maybe throw up a few surprises, because, you know, the teams have come back together. Some of the guys have been here since Tuesday, and there's already some interesting performances that have been thrown out because of not only where we are physically, the environment here, racing on this lagoon, on this lake, rather than out on the open ocean or on the open sea. Couple that with the changes that they can make during qualifying, and then of course you've got the small matter of the race that's coming up later.
That's it, sure. And if you'll humour me, because it seems after getting involved with XCAT, I've become a bit of a propeller geek. But the propellers are a very interesting part of the whole race. Obviously, the propeller provides traction and propulsion, and depending on the condition, as you mentioned, we're on a lagoon and a lake. Here comes the issue of raking. Basically how far the blade will lean back towards the rear of the propeller, and that is super important because it influences how the lift is generated. So more rake can increase holding power in choppy water, and then lifts the bow higher, reducing drag basically. So we would assume that on this lagoon you'd want less rake.
You'd assume that. The reality is these teams have gone out for practice sessions. They've not put in anything competitive to this point. But yes, you would assume that you would want less rake, keeping the drag down and essentially keeping each of the XCATs really flat. You know, traditionally racing boats, whether it's sailing or whether it's power boats, you do go quicker on fresh water. There's less friction in the water. I am not a scientist, but the lack of salt makes for a more frictionless experience.
I would consider you a powerboating scientist.
A powerboating scientist.
PhD in powerboating.
That's very kind of you. I'll take it. Just added another zero to my fee for the day. But yeah, really interesting to see. You know, these boats don't race on fresh water as a rule, and it's an exception that we've made because of where we are, and we'll talk about that in some more detail throughout the session, because we've got a good 60 minutes to an hour and a half to fill, and we've got plenty of time therefore to explore this. But what you're seeing now is the boats have decided to go out. In fact, quite a few of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, have decided to go out and start their sighting laps and get a feel for it. So the course is a big one. It's a big course today, and the format is no different. Again, we'll go through it. We've got long laps, short laps, but of course for the qualifying session, the teams are just required to go around the standard lap. And so the entry procedure for this is very strictly controlled. We're lucky enough to share space and time with the briefings for the drivers and the teams, and safety is always the single most paramount control. And there you can see, sorry, just to break myself off there, we are in the Mamaia district of the city of Constanța. So this strip of land, which is only 300 meters wide, give or take. So we're here on the coast of Lake Suciol, and then on the other side of this spit of land of Mamaia is the Black Sea. So it's an incredible venue. But yeah, what we're seeing now, very strict 6 knots maximum speed along into the entry area. The entry, you have to go round the top, and then you can start making your way through the necessary buoys, and then over into the race circuit. And this whole area, I mean, obviously we're here for the racing, but the whole area is really quite interesting. And the lake itself, and we'll have a little chat about that. But it's only right to, I think, concentrate on maybe the teams and XCAT, who are back.
Yes, and XCAT are back, but with a bit of a change. Obviously, we have Eric Stark in there, but there is a second addition to the team, isn't there? With Erik Sundblad Johansen.
Well, very well pronounced. That was incredible. Yes, absolutely. So, yep, there's a bit of a change at XCAT. So Seba Grotter is back.
Apologies, did I say Eric Stark? I meant Sebastian Gross.
Yes, it's all right. I'll let you carry on there. Yes, so Seba is back. I shared the taxi from Bucharest Airport with Team XCAT down to Constanța. It's only 2.5 hours. Probably worse for them than it was for me. But we got to chatting about the fact that they missed the second round at Basilicata after doing really well in Fiumicino, and they're really raring to go. But because of a calendar clash, they've changed pilot. It is Eric, the Norwegian, big tall man.
Very tall man.
Very tall man. That's pertinent given that these XCATs aren't the biggest machines in the world. But experienced powerboater, very experienced pilot. And so they'll be hoping for big things. They did have a bit of a problem yesterday during practice. They had a fuel line issue which meant they didn't really get as much time on the water as they would have really wanted. But they do a lot of racing in different categories, and so they'll be pretty happy with it. So we've got just shy of 54 minutes of this first qualifying session to go. We will have 7 boats on the water at some stage. The XCAT are just going to join the circuit in a safe and distinguished manner. And we're going to see who the first 4 boats to drop off are. 222 offshore there. You can see actually there's a bit of a swell as you come round. That's probably just because they're following a few other boats into that course. So number 222 offshore, boat number 10, you can spot them because of the Rocco Barocco livery on the side. Darren Nicholson and Giovanni Garpetella, they have been all over the world since the last time they were here with us in the XCAT World Championship of 2023. Administered and managed by UIM, the UIM officials here. There's quite a few of them in their capacity, making sure that the racing is fair, equal, and most of all, a great spectating marvel. There you go, there's a list of words for you.
And you forgot the big one, safe.
And safe. Well, safety goes, safety is it goes without saying, really. But yeah, they've been over to America, racing in a couple of other series. They're back here with us, and then next week, I believe they head back to the USA. But Rocco Barocco on the side and 222 offshore have posted their first time, the first time of this first qualifying session of the 2023 Romanian Grand Prix. They've posted a time of 2 minutes 28 and 200ths of a second, give or take. So that's around about where they were in qualifying, and so we know that the conditions are relatively steady. Team GB have just posted their first lap time, and they are 2:32, so they are 4 seconds back. But I think there's probably more in that Team GB boat, to be fair.
Although Faza seems to be ploughing through they look super steady as they pass through the commentary booth, and are obviously the big favourites. Their boat does favour flat conditions. Oh, console broker just went past us with the engine sounding a bit strange, eh?
Yeah, console brokers have just shot by, and it doesn't sound healthy. So our commentary position, just to give you an idea, you would have seen it at the top of the programme. You would have seen me standing on top of it, which is as scary as it sounds. But the reality is that we have a great view of the whole place, and we have a great sound of the whole place as well. But yeah, Faza, short boat, around about 2 meters shorter than everybody else, give or take, and that means that they can turn, move, and do what they need quite well. And it's the reality is that this particular body of water is probably designed for Faza. They couldn't really have wished for a better body of water. So we're going to see them come across the timing line now. They're of course our championship leaders by 1 point as it stands at the moment. And Faza have just posted the fastest time.
Yeah, but very close to 222 offshore, 2 minutes and 27 seconds and 600ths of a second. What is that, about maybe around a second difference, pretty much, give or take?
Yeah, give or take. You're looking at, I don't know, quick maths, about 700ths of a second, give or take. And so they are in a good spot there, but it's much closer than you might have considered. So we can see XCAT are starting to get themselves lined up for a hot lap. So basically what happens is you join the race course, you then go round the circuit, and then when you pass the timing barrier, or the timing buoys, the first time, that is when the stop clock is started, and then it goes from there. So XCAT are probably posting their first quick lap. They don't look that quick, but then when it looks slow, it tends to be fast, as is often the case in a lot of motorsport.
But as mentioned, there's no you can do as many time lapses as you want within the 1 hour duration for this session. So far we have Faza in first place, 222 offshore in second, Team GB in third, and QA Oils in fourth. Still missing a couple of teams to do their time lapse. Console Brokers, Pasta Amato, XCAT, which should be posting time very soon, HPI Racing Team, and that makes up the whole
Here's
pack.
HPI now.
They're looking fast, huh?
They are looking fast. So HPI are starting their flying lap. Team GB that we're looking at there, they posted their second time lap, and they are chipping away at the time there, which is pretty impressive. And it's interesting, we can tell.
Ooh, that was
A bit cheeky.
yeah. QA Oil's just waving bye-bye
Yeah.
to Team Pasta Amato right there, but the engine does sound a bit strange.
Yeah, that number 22 does not sound good, and it could just be the way they've tuned it. It could be under a little bit more stress than some of the other Mercury engines that are out there. So there is that. It could be carrying a little bit more weight in terms of both the ballast, but also in terms of the fuel. So there's a number of things that could be adding to Alfredo Amato's things to worry about, and we shall see how that pans out.
But obviously there is Luca Betti in the cockpit with him, a very experienced, is it a rally driver, right?
Oh, isn't he? He is more than a rally driver. Yes, he's a very successful.
The man, the myth, the legend.
The man, the myth, the legend. Yes, he's a very busy man. He flew in late last night, and he's out there now doing the bits that he needs to do as a pilot in the XCAT. So yes, he's a very successful world rally level driver. He's also involved in other projects to do with automotive, such as Chimera, the automotive company who do a resto mod of Stradale. It's called the Lancia Stradale. It's incredible stuff. But I'm not being paid to sell the cars for him, so I'm going to stop talking about it. And then we have XCAT.
Yeah, they looked quite slow, and they are indeed quite slow. 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
Yeah, and they're coming straight back in. So each of the XCATs on the back of their cockpit have a little strobe light, and if they're intending to come back in, or they're in strife, or they have to do something, they turn that strobe light on. And it's very small, but it's really, really bright, the kind of thing you'd find on an aeroplane or something like that. And as they were just coming across the timing line there, the strobe was on, and they were kind of pulling into the left, going around the yellow buoys.
Do you think it might be a propeller change that's going to go on? Obviously
Could
they are
be.
allowed to do so.
Yeah, it could be. I know they've been experiencing some technical issues since they've been here. These high performance engines, they're incredible, and they are very robust. But when something isn't quite right, it can really affect your performance hugely. So it's not a case of it being broken necessarily, or something kind of being faulty. It's more the case of making minor adjustments,
And I guess Team XCAT, out of all the teams, had the less amount of time to actually work on the boat. They did race in Fiumicino, but then obviously they missed Basilicata. So they've had the less amount of time on the actual boats.
Yes, they have, and they arrived relatively late here as well. We got here on the Wednesday as a group, as a media crew, and I was in the same car as them on the Wednesday evening as well. So they've only really had Thursday and Friday to prepare, whereas some of the other teams had all of Wednesday. Quite a bit going on there. But we are 46 minutes left to go, 45-ish minutes left to go of this first round of qualifying at the Romanian Grand Prix. We've got Faza leading, easy for me to say, put my teeth back in, Faza leading the way. Just less than a second from 222 offshore of Darren Nicholson and Giovanni Carpetana. We've got the Italians of HPI Racing Team. They are second in the championship, only a point behind Faza as it stands coming into this. Team GB in fourth. They won't be happy with that, but they are quietly confident that they can sit themselves on a podium.
Well, Shelley was pretty forthright, just telling us that podium is the target, and podium. That is it.
Yeah. They won the first race of the championship in Fiumicino. They finished second in the second race of the championship in Fiumicino, and they had a bit of a nightmare when it came to Basilicata with an engine problem. So but they're third in the championship, and they're not a million miles off.
And you remember, Stu, in Fiumicino, from last to second, that was a pretty incredible performance on behalf of Team GB.
Yeah, they are not strong qualifiers because the first couple of rounds they couldn't get the boat out, and then in Basilicata again they had engine trouble.
And I'd have to say that success, a lot of it was on Shelley's decision to when to take the actual long laps. I think quite a lot had to do with that. And yeah, Team XCAT has made their way onto the pontoon. Let's see, and actually, is it also Team GB has made their way onto the pontoon? Let's see what changes they're going to make.
Yeah, I think so. Basically, what the way that it works now, so each of the teams are allowed one propeller change in this qualifying session, and they're also allowed to move their ballast around. So the weight is the weight, but they can distribute their ballast from kind of. You can go into you might be even able to see it. If some of the teams decide to change their ballast when they open up the hatches at the front and the back of the boat, and they will basically get the crane in. They'll lift the boat out of the water, spin it round, change the propellers at the jetty on the pontoon, drop it back in, and then away you go. Nice and simple, really.
Interesting little fact, Juice. It seems every team that has currently, everyone has done their a timed lap. They have not managed to beat their fastest time laps. They keep going slower, with one exception: the guys on the screen, HPI Racing Team.
Yeah, and it's interesting how Faza are kind of just out there by the island. I'm trying to look with. I need binoculars in here. This is we've got a set upstairs that we'd ordinarily use.
Get the binoculars.
Get the binoculars. Are we going to get? Is that going to be a copyright issue? Tell us if you're watching this. Oh, first of all, I mean, thank you very much for watching us. Whether you're watching us live or whether you are watching us after the fact, we really appreciate you tuning in. You guys at home, the spectators at home. You really do keep this sport going, as well as the growing crowds, obviously, that we have here on the coast of Lake Sucio. So thank you very much. But do tell us, if you're watching this at home, what film is that reference from?
I like that. Let's see who's going to get it.
Let's see who's going to get it.
And whilst we're at it, we have received a message from Dimitris. Dimitris, thank you so much for tuning in to the live feed. Hope you enjoy the racing action.
Oh, hello, Demetrius. Thank you very much. Yes, do tell us what you think of the action so far. So 222 Offshore are out and about putting in what looks like a timed lap. They are just going past the island of Oviedo that you can see in the background there. And it is going to be a key feature because it's a nice bit of greenery, but you can tell how fast the boats are going.
Correct. It's actually a limestone island. I was lucky enough to go on there whilst we were scouting out the race course. Has a really lovely restaurant, a lot of greenery, a lot of birds actually, peacock, some chickens, and a very friendly beagle, which we befriended whilst we were on there.
Yes, there's a whole story about the beagle, but we've got another 40 minutes to fill, so we'll save that story. We might have to do a behind-the-scenes version of what the commentary team get up to while on our travels. But needless to say, my partner in crime here, my co-commentator John, very nearly drowned a beagle. But all's well that ends well. No beagles were harmed in the creation of this joke, so it was absolutely fine. But yeah, you can see we actually have a camera on the island there. And it's an official bird sanctuary. Over 60 varieties of bird fly through this part of the world. It's a key migration stop. Now I am a bit of a twitcher. I do enjoy my birds, and it's a great pleasure. You know, while we're here to watch this incredible spectacle of the XCATs, it's also important to remember that this This championship takes us to all corners of the globe. This is a truly world championship, and so we are here in Romania for the first time with this particular class of powerboats, and it's great to be able to show off what this part of the world has to offer. Throughout this weekend, John and I, in between the racing, will be sharing funny anecdotes about our trip. But we have been very lucky, on a serious note, to be shown around by the good people here of Constanța and really experience what this incredible city has to offer. And I must say, before we were due to come here, I'd never even heard of the city of Constanța. Obviously I'd heard of Romania, but I'd never heard of this city on the Black Sea. And I've got to say, I have been truly blown away by not only the sights and smells, the vibrancy, the nightlife, which John and I really did enjoy on Thursday evening, and I think we're just about to be back to our normal selves this morning. But it was, you know, you've got to try these things. You know, you at home can't experience it right now, so it's our job, our duty to experience the beautiful town and city of Constanța, and where we are staying here, and where the racing is happening in Mamaia. And I must tell you, it's an incredible place to go racing, and it's possibly even a better place to come and visit and spend your time and your money. It is a great place.
You're quite right, Stu, and beyond the amazing place you can have something to eat or drink, it is a country steeped in history and actually a locale steeped in history, founded by Greek colonists in the 6th century BC.
You get everywhere, you Greeks, don't you?
I know, right? And then conquered by the Romans in 71 BC, and then reigned Constantiana by Roman Emperor Constantine the Great in honor of his sister. And then, yeah, Constanța flourished throughout the 13th century when Genoese merchants used it as a port, and yeah, did actually fall under Turkish rule further down the line. So a lot of mixing and matching of cultures, which actually gives it a little bit more, a lot of depth when it comes to the food or the people.
Yeah, and it really is an advert for all these different thousands of years of history coming together and creating a wonderful venue. And then it's down to us, the XCAT Championship, to provide you with a spectacle equal to, if not surpassing, what the city has to offer. So, where are we now, you may ask yourself? So we are kind of creeping up to the midway point of this first qualifying session. We've got HPI, the racing team, who've just gone through to post another lap. They are chipping away. HPI's fastest time at the moment is a 2-minute 29 800th of a second. So they are around about 2 seconds and 200ths of a second shy of Faza. HPI are second in the World Championship. They are second in the 2023 UIM XCAT World Championship as it stands at the moment. Only 1 point behind Faza. They had a fantastic second round at Basilicata. They really, really did. Now, what I can see out of my window here is XCAT have been lifted out of the water. So it looks like that is the end of their qualifying session.
It seems like obviously you can change the propellers with a little bit of a bit of a lift, but
yeah,
this is too high of a lift to be just a propeller change.
Yeah, I think 10 meters above, maybe not 10 meters, it's probably near at 8 above the water is probably a little bit too much, even for the tallest Swede. It's a little bit too much to deal with, and that is a real shame, because they would have come. They were on the podium in the first weekend of this 2023 UIM XCAT World Championship, and it's a real shame. It's a real shame. They are.
QA Oil is also having a bit of a chat on the pontoon.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this second qualifying format. So there are multiple qualifying formats that have been signed off as part of this championship and underwritten by the official regulators, which means depending on where you are, we can swap format. So if you'll remember, rounds 1 and 2, so races 1, 2, 3 and 4, the doubleheader in Italy between Fiumicino and Basilicata, that was format 1, where it was half an hour and you could only have 2 attempts at posting your fastest lap, whereas here we have the slightly more relaxed 60-minute session, followed by the 20-minute session once that initial field has been cut down by 4.
Well, that's what I'm actually looking forward to. The top 4 big boys. How are they gonna go at it in the second one. And 20 minutes, not a lot of time.
It's not a lot of time, and there's also the added jeopardy that they have within that 20 minutes. It's not a free 20 minutes, as you mentioned at the top of the program. The second qualifying session has a lot more rules to it, and if you'd missed that at the top of the program, John is going to go through it again just to refresh your memory.
My pleasure to do so, Stu. So session 2, 20-minute duration, no lap limitations, but no propeller changes. The second biggest difference apart from the duration. And to be entitled to actually get a timed lap in, the racing boat must start its timed lap within 10 minutes from the green flag. So 20 minutes, not much time. You got to get your first one within 10 minutes, and just go at it. And here we have console brokers attempting to make a bit of a fast time, helmed by Alfredo Amato and Luca Betti. And HPI Racing Team did not manage to chip away a little bit more of the time. They are looking increasingly competitive throughout.
Yes, they really, really are. Boat number 22 of Console Brokers they were competitive in Fiumicino. They managed to get on the podium. They were very happy about that. But after a really strong start, they kind of just went off the pace a little bit. The course at the top end that they've just navigated now is a little bit more technical, and so from that perspective, that might suit Luca Betti a little bit better. He is a technical driver, being a rally driver. He's used to having to pivot and move his machine quite a bit more than you might do in other championships. But to give you an idea of what we're looking at out there on the water. HPI. I thought HPI had taken a buoy then. It is a bit of a fine if you fly through a buoy. It can get quite hefty.
And Team GB has made their way out onto the race course once more. But yeah, indeed, there is a bit of a fines going on if you hit a buoy. I think they'd rather keep that money to enjoy some local delicacies more than anything.
Yeah, I agree. So HPI there are heading around. Where are we?
Actually, Team HPI has been doing time lapse over and over again. It seems like more so than most teams.
Yeah, they are really thirsty for a win here. They're so close to the top of that championship at the moment, with only being a point in it, that they are going above and beyond. We go off air, but we don't disappear. We hang around, we have a look, we chat with the drivers, we spend a lot of time in the paddock and in the dry pit, looking at what people are doing, and they are spending a lot of time, a lot of research at HPI Racing Team, kind of going over every single last aspect. And the interesting thing about HPI Racing Team, so every single other boat out there is running a Victory hull, a hull made by the Victory Marine Company, except for HPI. They are running a Doug Wright hull, American-made hull, and you can tell them apart because they don't have the engine covers at the end of their XCAT machine there, and it's slightly more of a bulbous front of their XCAT as well. So there are very real and very different design cues that you can pick up on there, and it's paying dividends. They do prefer flat water. We've had the chat with the Rosario brothers, Rosario and Giuseppe, the brothers who are pilot and throttleman. And something they've said to us over and over again, actually, and over the years, is we need to get better on rougher water, because that is really what lets them down. And they did do well on rough water in Fiumicino. Obviously here, being an inland lake, you've got yourself nice flat conditions really, so they should be fine. And you're looking at Team GB, who are currently sat third in the championship, but fourth in the timings as it stands at the moment, are heading up and around the top of the course. Then they'll take a left, head past the island at some point, and then they will start to go through the chicane and then down the home straight past the timing boys that are in front of us, and that'll be them trying to go for a top 3 position in qualifying. To be fair, in XCAT, it can sometimes be preferential not to be second or third, because you get caught in the pack. So either start at the back, let everybody fight in front of you, and then kind of nip in with a very good long lap strategy, or start at the front and lead from the front is the other place that you want to be.
Yep, quite right. So far for the first pole position session, we have Team Faza with Nadir Bin Hendi and Arif Al-Zafain in first place. 222 Offshore, owned by Giovanni Capitella and Darren Nicholson in second. HPI Racing Team in third with brothers Schiano Di Cola. Team GB in fourth, Martin Campbell and Scott Williams. Q8 Oils in fifth, Abdulatif Alomani and Bader Al-Dusari. Pasta Amato in sixth, with Luca Betti and Alfredo Amato. And Team XCAT in seventh. Seems like they're not going to be going in for another round.
No, it really does look like XCAT are out of the count at the moment, which is a real shame. It's a real shame, because they would have wanted to have done quite a bit more, I would say, but they have found themselves kind of out and about, which is not what they need at all. But we do have a number of boats out there on the water at the moment, so we will see how these incredible XCAT machines perform in the second half of this 60-minute qualifying session at the 2023 UIM XCAT World Championship. We currently have Faza, championship leader, are top of the timing tree, followed by 222 Offshore, who have posted a lap around about 700ths of a second slower, so they are up there, which is interesting because that is a boat designed for rough water. Really, they do really well on rough water, and the water out here on Lake Shugyol is really quite flat at the moment. There's not even that much of a breeze to whip up what we see here in the swell, and we see the pace cat.
We have one of the big bosses of the championship, Pasquale, making his way onto the race course with the pace cat. I assume getting in position for the checkered flag, slowly but surely.
Yeah. They might just be out making a few amends to the course. It could well be that some of the boys have moved ever so slightly out and about. But yes, we can see Pasquale there, the capo, going out and going to go check the race course, it would appear. Pace Cat is exactly the same as the other XCAT machines, just with no roof, so it makes it somewhat of a more complicated situation.
Indeed, it usually leads to a very bad hair day.
But maybe that's my excuse.
Love it. And Team Faza just cruising with Arif Al-Zafain and Nadir Bin Hendi in first place, 2 minutes and 27 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, Faza, they're so quick around the turns, and they're so good in flat water that it's no surprise that they're leading the first qualifying session of this Romanian Grand Prix. But something that is a surprise, and if you're new to XCAT, the field is really tight on a usual Grand Prix weekend anyway. But what is a surprise is just how close some of the other teams are pushing Faza this morning. Because whilst we like to see tight competition, there are, just like any other kind of motorsport championship, there are certain setups, certain teams, certain crews, certain drivers, certain pilots, where certain conditions and certain environments suit them better. And this is one that looked like it was going to suit Faza and HPI really well. And so to see 222 Offshore pushing Faza so close, and with more to give, and possibly even Team GB and HPI as well with more to give, it really does put us in line for not only a really interesting rest of our qualifying session. We've got 25 minutes to go until we cut the first 4 boats from this championship qualifying session for then the shootout, if you like, in Q2. But we really are in for an incredible race, because it looks like they're so close together. There's just no way of knowing what's going to happen, really.
but at the same time, you can never overlook Faza. Very, very experienced crew. Nadir bin Hendi began racing in the mid 90s with traditional wooden powerboat racing, moving on to aqua bikes, winning world titles, etc. So Arif as well. Success has an unequaled win rate with 12 wins from 18 starts in Class 1. So but as I say, I like that Darren and Giovanni are putting on the pressure on the Emirati team.
Yeah, and they're a really relaxed crew, very experienced crew, exactly the same as Faza. You know, the crew in Faza were world champions in 2021 under a different name. They were Dubai Police at the time, but you know they've done it all, they've seen it all, and it's really is an incredible team that they've put together. But you know, whilst they're consistent, they aren't without the ability to be caught. You know, we saw them really getting caught in the first weekend of this year. We've just seen Team GB post their first time lap since their propeller change, so they'll be feeling out their kind of, you know, what that means to them essentially.
And console brokers passing by the commentary booth, looking very slow. Again, the engine is making a very strange noise, but anywho. So far, Team Faza remain in first place for this first pole position session for the Romanian GP in Constanța. 222 Offshore in second, HPI Racing Team in third, Team GB in fourth, QA Oils in fifth, Pastamato in sixth, and XCAT in last position.
There's still a lot of time. There is still a lot of time for teams to just alter what they're up to and their approach and their strategy. So for example, we're seeing Faza come through with another hot and timed lap, which is going to be quicker or slower. Let's have a look. Quicker. Ooh. They've knocked 1/10 of a second off. How? That's troubling for the other teams. They're going quicker and quicker.
It's all in the details, ain't it? And Team GB, helmed by Martin Campbell and Scott Williams, with their lion livery, making their way in. Actually, Scott and Martin, very successful businessmen outside of XCAT. Shelley had mentioned that they see XCAT as a way of blowing off a bit of steam, which is beyond me. But
it's an interesting way to unwind.
Yeah, fair play to them, eh?
Yes. I mean, it takes them all over the world, so I guess from a vacation perspective, it ticks that box. They get to do what they enjoy. So again, if you're looking from a vacationing perspective, that ticks a box. So at the moment, their logic isn't looking too flawed. We travel places with the UIM XCAT World Championship where consumables are sometimes slightly cheaper than they are in the UK. So particularly Scott can enjoy things that he enjoys, you know, eating and drinking and other bits and bobs. You know, not all of them are particularly good for your health, but you know, you're on holiday, so you can do what you like. And they get to represent the UK as part of Team GB, and you see the livery there, and they are out and about doing it for the UK. Of course, powerboating started, or the first recognised powerboat race was across the English Channel. So, you know, the UK has a very strong link with lots of forms of competition on the water. So yeah, and they are going to be looking to go a little bit faster. They're going to have to knock about 5 seconds off their time if they want to be on pole. But they're getting valuable time on the water, learning the course as well, aren't they, John?
That's a really good point you're making. I guess they are in the top 4, so they would be able to, they would compete in the second session for the 20-minute duration, no lap limitation, no propeller change kind of arrangement. So far, Faza in first position, 222 Offshore in second, HPI Racing Team in third, and Team GB in fourth. those 4 teams will be making their way to the second session of the pole position, the first pole position session of the Constanta GP. And at this point, maybe we say a massive thank you to the locals, making our stay incredible, and to our lovely media team, doing an excellent job covering the event, and Larry the drone. Let's not forget about Larry the drone.
Larry the drone. How could I forget about Larry
You
the
forgot
drone?
about him. He's
I
sad
did.
now, Stu.
Oh, I mean, we are living in an age of AI. Maybe Larry the drone does have feelings now. It's yeah, there you go. Topical moment of conversation there. Yeah, of course. Yeah, let me just mirror that. You know, all the staff, all the team, all the hospitality team. Everybody in the hotels that we've been staying at, everyone that's been serving us our lovely beer and pale ale, and of course the media crew here that keep everything running and somehow or another manage to keep a leash on us and make sure that we are in the right place at the right time, which is a struggle.
And we see 222 offshore, making the turn on the top right of the race course. Giovanni Captella and Darren Nicholson. Team GB had just passed the timing booth. Yeah, didn't manage to make a substantial difference in their timings, but still in the top 4.
Yeah, we're starting to see really where it's all settling, and we've got console brokers look like they're going to be lifted out for their propeller change. Sorry, Pasto Amato. They were console brokers written on the side there, and my brain just said what I saw. Boat number 22. So they're going to be lifted out of the water now and see where it goes. So there you can just see Alfredo Amato and Luca Betti. I can see them just walking up to the boat. But we've got Q8 Oils out there posting a time. They were podium sitters in Basilicata, and they were really happy. It was one of the highlights of my time with the XCAT World Championships, seeing just how happy it made them, because everybody works super hard, but yeah, it's great to see them coming good last time around. There's some great photos out there on social media of us enjoying it. If you are interested in seeing a little bit more behind the scenes of what goes on at the XCAT, feel free to follow me on Instagram, Social Stew. A little plug there. Feel free to go ahead to my Instagram, follow to see what goes on behind the scenes. It's all completely fine. It's all Peggy rated 13, so you can nothing untoward there. So we show you what it's like behind the scenes and what it's like to be part of the inner workings of the UIM XCAT World Championships. And it would be a pleasure to see you over there on social media. Make sure if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook as well, watching live or after the fact, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you do follow and subscribe the official YouTube channels and Facebook pages to ensure that you don't miss a single second of the 2023 UIM XCAT World Championship, which, as we're talking right now, is at its midpoint of the year. And I'm struggling to remember a time where it was this close, certainly since 2021, where the commentators, the professionals, myself and John, we have got no idea who is going to go on and claim victories in the 2 races that we have here as part of the Romanian Grand Prix, but also who is then going to go on and be called World Champion of 2023. It is all up for grabs, and everybody is on tenterhooks, and there you can see Team GB. It's a great shot from Larry the Drone there, and if you want to know why we're calling him Larry the Drone, you're going to have to go back and watch some of the races just to get yourself up to speed. But everybody here works hard. Everybody here is just as important as each other, and that is why we have deemed Larry is good enough to get a name. And so the drone work is incredible, and it looks like HPI have decided to do whatever they were doing. It looked like it might even have been a comfort break for Giuseppe, to be honest.
Giuseppe's looking cool as ice on his boat.
You know, when jealousy is an ugly emotion, but I am he looks incredible, you know? Just stood there on the prow of his 800 horsepower engined incredible stuff, but it looks like they're just spinning around.
It seems like Faza Will they be going back in? They seem pretty laxed on the pontoon, maybe having a little chat, discussing some strategies.
Yeah.
They are currently in first position, so seems like they're going to take a little.
They're going to take a break.
Little break.
They're going to take a break. We've got a quarter of an hour left, 15 minutes left of this first qualifying session for the first race of the 2023 Romanian Grand Prix. There's Nadir and Alif looking really calm. Two cooler customers I couldn't care for. They are, honestly, you couldn't ask for more from them. They're incredible with us. They're incredible with all the staff. They all, every single team is. But these guys are discussing just the millimetres of difference. You can see there Nadir talking about just how small the difference is and how important that is.
They're eyeing up a little bit their closest competition.
Yeah.
222 offshore, currently in second place.
Yeah.
It seems like most teams will probably be calling a day for the first session for the first pole position session of for the Romanian GP. After that, we'll be having a 10-minute break. All the drivers can catch their breath, and then the first four. The four fastest teams will go back on the water for another 20-minute session and lock horns with each other once more.
And what you're seeing now is 222 offshore. That's Giovanni Carpetella just coming out of the boat there. But you can see their HPI. They've got the yellow cabling just being attached to the mounting hooks of that Doug Wright hulled HPI team, and they are lifting the boat from the water. So it looks like they are done for the day. They are. Oh no! We've just seen one of their engineers run on with a set of propellers. So it looks like they're going for their propeller change. And there is frustration from that HPI team because obviously they've only got 15 minutes left. 13 minutes left, 13 and a half minutes left of this qualifying session, and they obviously want to be lifted out.
Perhaps they're buying some time. There are indeed still 13 minutes to go for the first session. Maybe they're trying to, make the most of this time, change the propellers, get ready for the second session. They are in third spot.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows how competitive they are. If they stop now, it doesn't matter. As long as nothing changes, they'll be able to go out and go for that Q2. We can see there Giovanni
towering over our cameraman.
Absolutely, he's a really tall man, really experienced in this field. They obviously, again, they're out of the boat. They think they've done as well as they could possibly do for this session. They're going to give themselves a good 20-minute rest, give the engines a 20-minute break before they have to go out, because it's not just the drivers and throttlemen that are working hard, the actual machinery is working hard as well. Can you imagine running these for an hour at qualifying pace? That's potentially going to take its toll on the engineering side of it, and they did have to have a whole new set of kind of, I've got to be careful what I say, but a lot of engineering has gone in. They stripped the engines, and before competition here on the Wednesday, we were chatting with the team, and they'd stripped those Mercury RS engines right down to give it all a good clean and a bit of a chat. So interesting, but they probably don't want to push them too hard, too fast before anything happens.
That said, QA Oils are definitely pushing their boat as much as possible. They're the only boat out currently on the water. Love to see. In Team GB, apologies. So we have Team GB and QA Oils still out on the water. Team GB did not manage to beat their time. It seems like the top four is pretty much set, unless QA Oils manages to pull it out the bag.
Yeah, it's minor differences at this stage, and so you've got Abdulatif and Badir out there doing the best they can. You can see the boat's not as settled as you really want it to be. They've got a decent amount of lift there. The lift all the way back past where the crew is sitting, which is fairly optimal. Less drag, less friction, and all the working parts that you want to. The bits that drive the boat, propel the boat, and steer the boat. They're the bits that you want in the water, and that seems round about where they're at. It's a great shot there from the media team to bring us that. But there's a lot of action there. They want to head back out. Console Brokers team, boat number 22, Pasta Amato, they want to get back out there.
Yeah, they are. So the propeller case being pulled out with the mechanics. I guess it makes sense that Team GB and QA Oils are still out there. They have something to win or something to lose. Team GB could lose fourth position, which means they won't make it into the second session. QA Oils might manage to overtake them.
Yeah, and now you've got QA Oils that are just on the run down there. Team GB are coming back in. Team GB's looks like Team GB's qualifying session race is run. We've got just shy of 10 minutes left in this first qualifying session of the 2023 Romanian Grand Prix. Just a reminder that we do have a second qualifying session, so this is a knockout session where the slowest boats will be knocked out, with the top heading into a second 20-minute qualifying session. So if you're watching at home, it is the break between Q1 and Q2. That is when you need to jump up, make yourself a cup of coffee, cup of tea, refill your glass, make yourself a sandwich, whatever you want to do. It's not my job to tell you how to live your life. And it is during that 10-minute break to go and do that, so that you can come back for the 20-minute qualifying session, the shootout as to who is going to be on pole. We're going to be taking a break during that time as well, so don't worry, you're not going to miss anything from us, and you're certainly not going to miss anything from the UIM XCAT World Championship either. Everybody is going to be downing tools for 10 minutes just to give everybody a bit of a comfort break before we head back out. But we do have drama unfolding on the pond too. So obviously HPI have been screaming to get the crane over so that they can lift the boat and change their propellers, whilst all the time Pasta Amato have been taking up the crane space. But now Pasta Amato are just backing out of the they're backing out of the pontoon. You can just see the tip of the number 22 boat there in the corner, and HPI will be keen to lift that boat, change the propellers. There's 8 minutes left. All they need to do is get back in the water and start going about a minute out, and they'll be okay. And there you can see the green and yellow towing hooks, the crane hooks. The green is for the right hand side, and it looks like that is the side that is exclusively being used to remove the boat, and on the left you've got the ones being changed for HPI. So the 222 offshore boat of Darren Nicholson and Giovanni Carpatella is now being lifted out of the water. That is them done. They're currently sat in second position. They're quite happy with where they are. The boat will then be placed back in for Q2, and there you can see the propeller change.
Resembles a bit of a pit stop in F1.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mechanics trying to be as quick as possible and as efficient as possible to prepare their boats for the second session.
And there you can see 5 blades on each propeller. This is their one propeller change that they can make, and these are the propellers that they will go into Q2 with as well. There you can see the UIM official there scrutinising, making sure that they aren't doing anything against the rules, and they won't be. He says with confidence. This has been a really clean championship, absolutely no issues whatsoever outside of the usual circuits and course corrections, and they're going to drop that back in. So you've got 5 blades on those propellers. You can see that the rake is relatively shallow. What that means is that there is not a huge amount of drag, meaning that they are going for speed over dexterity. Which is probably the right call on this course. If they do that on, say, rough seas, that is going to be tough. Mm-hmm. And the funfair is taking shape. We've been watching that funfair in the background being built over the last few days, and I didn't notice that they've put a big wheel up. Yeah. That happened without me even noticing.
Yeah, well, it's all spectators can head along, visit the funfair, have something to eat on the promenade, and watch a bit of XCAT action.
I mean, where in the world can you go to enjoy all of that at the same time? You know, they've done a great job here in Constanza, putting on a host of things, a variety of things for the spectators to enjoy. And we've got the whole kind of front end of this shoreline. So you've got the pits over there, as you're watching on the right hand side behind the fairground. That is where all the teams are. You've got the communications, race control and general timing on the left, which is where we are, and then we've got the hotel over there as well.
Console brokers with 5 minutes on the clock for the first session for this is out on the water trying to beat their time. They are currently in 6th position behind QA Oils, Team GB, HPI Racing Team, 222 Offshore and Faza. Let's see how they do. I mean, Luca Betti and Alfredo Amato, again, massively experienced.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they climb up the rankings.
Yeah, absolutely. The boat has it in it. You know, we've seen that the boat is quick. They've, podium sitters in Fiumicino. They didn't have the best time in Basilicata, but they did okay. So yeah, they're out here for what is probably going to be one last push. They might get 2 laps in. But more realistically, this is their one lap. This is their one chance to move up the grid, to move up the starting order, and we'll see where it goes from there. Most of the other teams, as you say, have run their race. They are, you can see there the team of Q8 Oils getting ready to call it a day, and then they'll be doing as much as they can for the race, which is later on this afternoon. Starts at 15:30 local time. If you are watching in other parts of Europe, then that is there's an hour's difference. If you're watching in the UK, it's 2 hours difference. If you're watching in the USA, I've got no idea, and if you're watching in Australia, I have no idea. Console brokers pasted on the side of that Pasta Amato boat, and they are starting a timed lap. So we shall see what happens there. You can just see them in the background there, but they are all getting ready at the pontoon.
They are looking pretty fast. I would be pretty amazed if I see them pull it out the bag, really. A bit of quite a brave decision to go back in. They are very super competitive. So let's see.
Yeah, they really are. They really are.
Oh, the lone wolf on the lake of Constanza, going at it. I mean, I guess there'll be less. The water will be flatter now that all the boats are out, and not much rolling around. But let's see.
For absolutely sure, and that is an advantage that going out on your own gives you. You're not travelling in anyone else's wake. But there you can see a great shot of all of the residents. That town there is called Oviedo. Oviedo is in Spain, very far away from where we are right now. And what racing on Lake Sucio actually gives you is a kind of stadium or amphitheatre effect for this 2023 UIM XCAT World Championship Romanian Grand Prix. And it means that, imagine you're just sat at home and you can watch these incredible boats do what they are doing. But yeah, you've got boat 22 out there looking to post a quick lap. Bit of a wobble. Could have taken that turn. As you can see, they're lining themselves up to head around the buoy there. Nice and flat. And now it's going to be throttled down. You can see it throttling away from the drone there, actually. So throttled down, nice and flat. Wow, that's really flat. You probably want the front end just to be slightly higher, maybe. But overall, it is just what you need. Tight turn. Oh.
So they just hit the 2-minute mark. Just the
they really can't pivot that boat.
Yeah,
they really can't pivot that boat. That's where the teams near the bottom of this qualifying session. That's where they're losing their time. It's their ability to turn and pivot the boat. Where obviously, being here on this lagoon, on this lake, space is at a premium, and so it is a tight course in terms of cornering.
Well, they didn't manage to make their way on into the top 4. Actually, slower than their last lap.
Yeah.
Bad luck for
Yeah, that-
Alfredo
Yeah.
and Luca.
Yeah, and you can see it there. The last boys at the end of the course there, Foxtrot 1, Foxtrot 2. They just couldn't pivot the boat, and that is going to be something that they're going to have to fix either ahead of later on. Or ahead of qualifying tomorrow as well, because without being able to pivot around the chicane and around that final corner, you really are going to lose a lot of time. And if you've got any hope of finishing on the podium, it's mastering that turning circle is going to be super important.
Yeah.
Super important. And you can tell, you know, the teams on the top 3 at the moment compared to the bottom half, that's the ones that have really managed to set the boat up ready for turning.
Yeah. So only 15 seconds to go for this first session. So far, we have Faza in pole, 222 Offshore in second, HPI Racing Team in third, and Team GB in fourth. That makes the 4th fastest teams for this session, and we'll be entering the second session in about 20 minutes time. QA Oils in 5th, Pasta Amato in 6th, and Team SweetCat in 7th.
Yeah, that's it. That is the first qualifying session done. Q1 is finished. We have our top boats. We're going to take a short 10-minute break, so don't go anywhere unless it's to your kitchen to get your refreshments. We're going to go off air for around about 10 minutes, but do feel free to stick around. And then we go for our Q2 session. The top fastest boats will be entering the Q2 section, 20-minute qualifying session to find out who will start on pole for the 2023 Romanian Grand Prix. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a fantastic break there. We've managed to get the bottom 4 boats near enough out of the water, and now we are going into the second qualifying session for the first Grand Prix of Romania. So the top 3 boats will now fight it out for that all-important pole position. Now, if you're new to the UIM XCAT World Championship, you've got the bottom 4 will go from the first gate in the race later on today, which is obviously a disadvantage compared to the top 3 who will get a bit of a jump start. That does not mean by any means that the race later on this afternoon will be processional in any way, shape or form, but we now have a 20-minute session for the top 3 boats to fight it out amongst themselves to decide who will be on pole.
Correct. 20 minutes of racing will ensue. No lap limitation, no propeller changes. For the teams to be entitled to get a time lap, the racing boat must start its timed lap within 10 minutes from the green flag. And this will define the first gate, giving the top 3 an advantage for the race to come at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Absolutely, John. This is a vital part of it. It's a change to the qualifying format that we saw in Fiumicino and Basilicata, where they were given all just 30 minutes and 2 timed laps apiece, no propeller changes, and no way of getting the boats out of the water during that qualifying session. This is obviously very different, but as opposed to Q1, the teams cannot make any changes to their propeller. None of the teams can refuel either. You couldn't refuel in Q1, and you couldn't make any changes ahead of the second qualifying session, or the second part of qualifying for the race later on this afternoon. So we shall see what comes of it. We've got Faza have already gone out to do their sighting lap and enter the course, and then we have HPI are getting ready to head out as well. You can see there they are good to go, and 222 offshore joining the course as well, using the correct procedure. There you go, all the way to the end at 6 knots. Turn around the red buoy at the end, and then they can enter the race course safely. So 222 offshore there. They aren't going quickly. This will be their sighting lap. So they're obviously letting the swell, the wake from Faza settle down, and then they will do their thing. Second position as they went into it though, so really, really good.
Yeah, and Arif Al-Zafan Nadir bin Hendi, the drivers for Faza, looked unbelievably calm during their break on the pontoon. Cool as a cucumber. HPI racing team looking a little bit more tense. I'd say, I don't know if that has to do anything with their Mediterranean temperament, or whether it's just that super competitiveness that kind of characterizes the team.
Yeah, far from me to comment on their nature. I mean, they're very emotional and very kind of outgoing as individuals, which is lovely. But there's not more they can do now. They think they could. I think realistically, pole position is out of their grasp based on what we've seen. But they'll be confident that they can maybe start in second and then take Faz around that first corner. That is something that I think is probably well within their ability. And 222 offshore, we had a little chat before we went on air, and I said 222 are there for the fight. I'm sat here pleased as punch that I am right, because they are competitive. They had a good practice session yesterday, and I thought these are guys that are going to do well this weekend. And they went into the second qualifying session second, but the times start again. It is anybody's race now. You know.
Yep, and Darren Nicholson and Giovanni Capitella developing some speed. Maybe they're gonna give it a shot for their first timed lap. Although the boat excels on choppier waters, a bit more offshore, they have put up a fight with Team Faza or the Legends.
Yeah. They have taken it to Faza. They took the fight to Faza almost literally. They qualified first and second for the first race of the championship, and they ran into each other on the first corner of the first race of the 2023 UIM XCAT World Championship, causing a little bit of damage to both boats. So they are hotly competitive. What a great view there of Mamaia, where we are being hosted for this Romanian Grand Prix, and we're there in the container, just on the window furthest to the left, next to the team managers, who are all
See if I can
collected.
pop a hand out and.
What a great shot from Larry the drone, and a great shot there from, I don't know if the cameraman's name is Larry, but great shot nonetheless.
The mechanics from HPI Racing team are remaining on the pontoon, anxiously looking at their fellow drivers, or part of their.
Yeah, interesting, because they can't do anything. You can't make a propeller change, so there's no reason for them to remain on the pontoon. And the pontoon, it's not a big space, it's 2 meters and 35 in width. I know that because I was told by Sebastiano, who is the race organizer and one of the administrators, exactly how wide it is, because I think the plan is for me to be back on the pontoon this afternoon for the live race, live at 15:30 for the race to commence, and I will be hopefully taking you up and down the pontoon as we've done in previous races for this 2023 UIM XCAT World Championship.
So 222 Offshore just clocked in their first time lap, 2 minutes 31 seconds and 4 hundredths of a second. Slower than their first session. They were at, I believe, 2:28.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe they're just kind of warming up and getting ready to go. And they do, as you said at the top of the program, need to post a time lap within the first 10 minutes of this 20-minute session, because what they don't want is boats just basically sat there for 17 minutes and nothing going on. Faza, I mean, look how fast Faza look. Super flat. You can see them turning around F1, F2, F3 really well.
Coupled with incredible handling,
Yeah.
speed and handling, and that's kind of the recipe for success so far for Team Faza. And HPI Racing team seems like they're making their way for their own first timed lap.
Yeah, so they've just gone through their sighting lap. The timer has started the minute they went through. The timing boys there, so right in front of us in our position, and they will now make their way around the course, and a great view there of Mamaia in the background. Mamaia, this strip of land just north of Constanța. And
So Faza, fast as 2 minutes 27 seconds,
okay,
a
so
hundredth of a second.
yeah, they're matching their time from Q1 there. It looked fast, didn't it? And again, it's we've just seen them corner around Alpha 1, the first corner boys, as you go through the timing gate, and they just turn so much quicker than everybody else. It is really the open secret of their success, is that their boat is slightly shorter, still obviously perfectly within regulation, but they can just turn so much better. So on flat conditions like this, that is perfect for them. Of course, when we head out to choppier waters, out to sea, not so good, which we saw certainly in Fiumicino. So yeah, they are going to be the ones to beat today. It looks like it, unless something changes drastically from 222 Offshore and HPI Racing. I don't see anybody other than Faza being the fastest and being on that top step.
Yep, 222 Offshore clocking in a bit of a slow one now, it seems. 2 minutes and 48 seconds and counting. Let's see if the brothers Schiano Di Cola, they'll be able to pull out the bag in their first time lap. Yep, 2:57 for 222 Offshore, not too great.
Yeah, they were obviously just trying to get their heads around the course a little bit better and see what's going on.
So we have a team Fazer, Arif Al-Zafine, Nadir bin Hendi in first place. 222 offshore, Giovanni Capitella and Darren Nicholson in second. And brothers Schiano Di Cola of HPI Racing Team yet to clock in the time, but it seems they're almost just about, very close to 222 offshore in third place by 500 of a second.
Yeah, I think could well be business as usual. HPI, like I said, very much wanting to take 222 offshore out of the equation and finish in second. But HPI have just made the return procedure and are heading back to the pontoon by the looks of it. Fazer putting in another lap.
They actually did shave off a few hundredths of a second of the original
keeps going
time.
faster and faster, and there you can see in the background there HPI just coming in, and Fazer have slowed right down now, right down.
I imagine team manager is giving them some instructions of take it easy.
Yeah, I imagine they probably are. So HPI coming in, they can't make a propeller change. They can't do anything really. So they might be coming in and just waiting for the swell just to drop a little bit. They don't want to be setting times in anybody else's wake, figuratively and literally. And so they could be coming in and just prepping themselves for another stab at it in the next kind of 5 minutes or so. But we've already gone through 15 minutes of this 20-minute qualifying session. It's gone rather quicker than I suspected because I was waiting for another 10 minutes to go, but I've had to stand up and kind of get myself ready for action. It is, it looks like they might be calling it.
Yeah, it seems pressure is on for 222 offshore and HPI Racing Team. Fazer looking super comfortable in first position. So business as usual, as in Q1.
I think everybody was really going for their hottest possible lap. Oh my word!
Ooh, that was close.
Oh my
really
word!
Hit that boy.
There we were getting ready. We were getting our sandwiches out, ready for lunchtime, and doing our prep for race number 1 of this Romanian Grand Prix. And then Darren and Giovanni absolutely fly through the timing beacon, posting a 2 minutes, 28 second and 500th of a second, putting them just marginally behind Fazer, 1.3 seconds behind Fazer. So I think Fazer have the beating of them, but they were very, I mean, there is a lot of time in that boat that they managed to make up there.
Oh, you got to give it to them, eh? I wonder what's Fazer going to do? Are they just going to sit there, wait to see, or will they go for another, try shave off some more time?
I think they're probably safe. The reality is, a second and a bit is quite a lot of time that they need to find out of that boat, and I just don't think that it's got it on these kind of conditions. But you can see there they are still full throttle, and they're not giving up. They are quietly competitive, as all these teams are, obviously, but they are just coming around the top of the island there, which is a good marker for us because that is where they have to start doing the intricate, tricky bits. So the right turn there, then there'll be a bit of a straight into the chicane.
Looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, really good. Nice and flat, front of the boat, just lifting, then they're gonna take a left any second now. There we go, so nice and tight, back on the power. And then it's a bit of a sprint down to the bottom of the course where it's a really tight right-hander. And Fazer have just stopped there.
Yeah.
They're not really allowed to do that, but they've decided to do it.
So 2:22 to 23, clock still going. Not managed to beat Fazer's time or their own time.
No, and they're just going to go around F1, F2, F3, the designated boys at the back end of the course, and now they're going to go down the home straight. What a view of Mamaia. It's a tourist seaside destination, Mamaia. It's chock-a-block full of hotels and bars and stuff, and I must say it is wonderful. And here we see Rocco Barocco on the side of the 222 offshore number 10 boat through the timing beacons, and no improvement there. But looked fast. I enjoyed it as a spectator. But a really good opportunity for you at home to see the course in its entirety there. So we have just shy of 3 minutes remaining of this second qualifying Q2.
Is Faza going in for another timed lap?
Yeah, these guys, man, they they love it.
I mean, the session itself has 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. They did clock in 2:27, so let's see if they'll manage to make it within the margins of Q2 as well.
Yeah, I mean, they've got nothing to prove, but you know, more time on the water, more time on the competition circuit is more practice for them. So it's all good for them. As 222 offshore, again, you know, they're still looking like they're trying to beat that time. And if you're wondering what HPI are doing, just let you know that they are being lifted out of the water. They've obviously decided that there is just no way that they are going to threaten for the other top positions. So they basically went out, did a timed lap. They've obviously decided that there's nothing left in that dug right hull of their 96 boat. So they've decided to call it a day, and hopefully we'll have better luck in the race. Faz are going through the timing beacon there, and they do not better their time. Still fast. Still very, very fast.
But Giovanni and Darren going for it. You know, I gotta hand it to them. I like that they did not give up.
No. They've been racing a long time. They've been raced against each other, and now they race with each other. And super, super flat.
I think good old Hunter, Darren's son, must be very proud of his dad right now, taking the fight to Faza.
Yeah, absolutely. Hunter that joined us in Rome, in Fiumicino, just outside of Rome, for the first round. He'll be back at home, just outside Newcastle in Australia, undoubtedly watching this on what could be very close to Saturday night, if not early Sunday morning, that side of the world. But here we see what is likely to be the final bit of action from the first qualifying session of the Romanian Grand Prix. Whoosh!
Just about.
Oh,
just about.
Knocked a bit more time off. They are now just a sniff over 2 minutes and 28 seconds. So
that's 800th of a second.
Yeah, they really did knock some off there. That was incredible stuff. So maybe I was wrong. Maybe there is a bit more time to be had. Probably using it as a bit of a sighting for tomorrow's qualifying session for what will be the second race. Of course, before then, we have an awful lot more action to bring you. So you have just been watching Q2, the second session of the qualifying session for the first Romanian Grand Prix, the first race here at Lake Suciol, just on the other side of the Mamaia Spit at Constanța in Romania. What an incredible qualifying session it has been. We will give you the rundown in just a second of where each of the teams are starting for the first race of this Romanian Grand Prix, which will be taking place at 15:30 local time, and we will be going live just ahead of that to bring you some conversations and a little bit of a sneak preview of, oh my word, that was the last timed session through the checkered flag. They have knocked off another 500ths of a second, is that? Half a second off their time, 2:26 and 700ths of a second. They just keep giving it more and more.
Just when you think they can't go any faster, Arif and Deer put the pedal to the metal and just go for it.
That was incredible. That was incredible. I honestly thought they had nothing less to give. Obviously, they've gone through a bunch of fuel. The boat is now the lightest it was going to be into that final session, and they are now coming back to the jetty, back to the pontoon, to what will be huge amounts of congratulations from their team, and no doubt their competitors as well. So well done to all the teams, but well done to Faza there, just really cementing their position as championship leaders and showing us why that is the case. The reasons to be glued to your screens over the next few days. Would you like to hear what Faza have to say about their pole position victory here today? If the answer to that is yes, and it should be, make sure you do follow the official YouTube channel for the XCAT World Championship, as well as the Facebook page, where behind the scenes and highlights and conversations will be released not just throughout the race weekends, but throughout the gaps between our championship weekends as well. So make sure you do hit that follow, hit that like, hit that subscribe, just to make sure you don't miss the behind the scenes and how our crews are feeling. But it is Faza who are fastest, John.
Indeed, and we have 222 Offshore putting on a valiant fight in second place, HPI Racing Team in third. So they'll make the fastest of the pack, followed by Team GB, QA Oils, Pastamato and XCAT.
They make up our qualifying positions for the race later on today. All that's left for me to say is thank you very much for joining us this morning for our double qualifying session for the first race of this Romanian Grand Prix, the midpoint of the 2023 UIM XCAT World Championship. Thank you ever so much for joining us, and make sure you do come back later on this afternoon, where we will bring you the first race of this Grand Prix weekend in full.